Welcome back to the TMS Book Club at the Book Circle Capital here in Melville. If you are just joining us and you're watching it for the first time, it's a cool series this time around. We are featuring young writers, and one of them is Uvile Ximba. No relations to Vus Ximba, she assures me. She has written an interesting book that will guide you if you have a coming out story. The book is titled Dreaming in Color. Uvile, welcome to the TMS Book Club.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, interesting title. I'm seeing all sorts of colors, absolutely beautiful artwork, but I imagine just the title itself tells a huge story about your own life.
Yeah, it absolutely does tell a huge story about my life. It's a story that encompasses so much imagination, the color, the dreaming, tapping into your subconscious, and that's part of my life, like on a daily basis. So yeah.
I love that. And how much of your life are we finding in this? Because this is a fictional story that we read and find in Dreaming in Color.
Fiction, non-fiction, fiction
Yeah.
and life, fine line, but it's drawn from different experiences, memories, dreams,
Okay.
just observing colors. So it is a fictional story, but it has so much truth to it because it comes from people. It comes
Right.
from witnessing people and just witnessing life happening.
Okay. Talk to me about the references that you went into to formulate these chapters that ultimately became this book, right? Did you encounter a lot of queer people that were willing to speak?
I mean, I was in varsity when I wrote the book, so it was
Right.
a lot of the engagement came around speaking and conversations with people in the varsity space.
Sure.
Which the book is centered around Ulanga going through her varsity experience and kind of from high school into varsity. So there were a lot of conversations had with people that I was in that space with on campus.
Right.
But a lot of observing as
Okay.
well. Originally, the book was called Conversations About Dreams.
Oh.
Like this collection of just dreams and memories and things like that coming from speaking to people and engaging with people. So it was a lot of conversation with people in, I would say, the campus community.
Okay.
And just seeing the difficulties, but also the joys of being a Black queer person in varsity. Yeah.
Sure. And to add to that, I mean, when in your own personal story, you know, there's African spirituality that ties into it, right? How much of that do we find in the book, if at all?
The book was written before I had an understanding of my spirituality and my journey and so on.
Oh, wow.
But actually, in reading the book now, I realize that a lot of the references and some of the images, the motifs, the idea of dreaming and the idea of color and the way nature speaks to Ulanga and Ukwezi's story are things that are quite heavily linked to my own spirituality. So it's like I'm learning from the book by reading it now, because at the time I wasn't aware of my journey in the way that I am now. Yeah.
Interesting. Are you hoping that young people that find Dreaming in Color and read it will find their voices through yours as well?
Definitely. We need stories that reflect us and like our lives and our struggles and our difficulties and the things that we enjoy. And yes, we can consume all sorts of things from all over the world, but sometimes we just need stories that look like us. And I think even from speaking to people that have read the book, young people that have read the book, it's often been a conversation of, whoa, some of the things that you said, I've never really experienced myself in that way. But when you spoke about it and you reflected on it in that way, I was able to think about that in my own personal capacity. So I definitely hope that from reading the book, someone can reflect. I think reflection is the big thing about the book, yeah.
I like that. I imagine there's more where this came from, because now you've had all these experiences, and this was in varsity, and obviously, sure, you're still young, but then you've had some growing up to do since then, right? So I imagine there's a lot more on the way. Or I'm hoping, fingers crossed.
I was told that I need to write a follow-up.
Okay.
Someone was like, we want to know more. But I take from my characters.
Okay.
So this particular character, I think, reach their ending, but there's definitely always stories to
Yeah.
tell. So I'm always writing, like, you're the vehicle to writing those stories. So there'll always be stories.
I like that. Talk to
Yeah.
me about your publishing journey. How did this book get published?
So I wrote the first draft of the book in 2017. I was 19, and then I just sent it out. I just sent it to like 5 or so publishers that I was like, okay, I'd like these people to publish the book. And I got 3 responses from the 5.
Yeah.
Which was like, okay, you've got, clearly there's something there. So I pursued one of those responses, but it didn't quite work out. Like, I'm very firm about how I like my creativity to be put across.
Okay, it's a
So
process.
It's a process. So, and then what as for, he was at Rhodes, and then I asked him to just read over it, and he's in the publishing creative space.
Okay.
And he read over it, and he sat with me, and we spoke about it, and then he was like, I know Colleen. And then he hooked me up with Colleen, and the way that she handled my book, I was happy with. So
Wow.
then I went with Colleen.
Siyabonga,
judge.
Colleen, siyabonga. Bheka sikuphi manje. Listen, I imagine there are young writers as well that would like to be one day be sitting where you are sitting. What advice do you have for a young author, people with stories to tell, but are not knowing where to start even?
I would say just go for it. If it's there and you have it and you think it's good and you think it's ready and you want to share it, then find all of the platforms. Like, there are journals, there are websites that publish works online. Publishing a book is not the only way to go about sharing the stories that you have.
Right.
So explore the avenues and take it as a step-by-step thing. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Awesome stuff. Listen, lovely meeting you. And thank you so much for writing this book. This is a necessary, call it document, if I can use that word, that the country, especially South Africa, needs for young people who are queer and feel like they don't have a voice. I think you're that voice for them.
Thank you.
So congratulations, Uvile Ximba on the TMS Book Club. Namhlanje kuseni, Dreaming in Color. Go out and get it. Siyabonga.